God, you're good. Thanks for your love. Thanks for the opportunity to meet together. Pray that you would be honored and glorified in all that we're doing and all that we're saying today. And again, thank you so much for each one that is here and those that will be watching online. We just pray that you would go with them, guide them, protect them. And again, thank you for your love in Jesus' name. Amen. So today, what I want to do is kind of where do I go from here and answer that question. And it's probably why I gave you these papers to be able to see some different things that we're going to get to as we're talking about this. And kind of basically what we're going to do is go through what we call our 4Gs, our 4G strategy, which is gather, grow, give, go. And as we go through it, give to you lots of information that of places that you can get involved, things that you can do, kind of what's next steps after this as far as harvest time and moving forward with however you feel like God is leading you. So we start off with gather. Gather's kind of our open door into the church, and it's our largest part of harvest time, and it's our services, our Sunday morning gathering services, which are at 8 and 11. I don't know how long those will continue at those times, but for sure for now they will. What we tell people is again, Hebrews 10:25 talks very clearly about not forsaking the assembling together of believers, even more spurring one another on to loving good deeds as we see the day approaching. So, and again, that I think sometimes we take that verse out of context and we say that means that you've got every time the church doors are open, you got to be at the church. That I'm not sure where that started getting taught in Christianese, but it did. But if you look at the context of that verse, he's writing to the Hebrew people who are dispersed all over the world at that point, and they were not able to meet because of persecution, because of what was going on in the Roman government. They were not able to meet, and he was challenging them to not give up that. Don't give up the desire to meet together. Don't give up the desire to come together, to gather together, because that's the best. That is the ultimate way for you guys to grow as a church, is to do that together. So they had to figure out how are they going to do that, even though they're separated. And that's kind of when we get into the grow part, that I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But so they could not all meet together. There was a long period of time where they could not all get together, and the only way they could get together was in a small group in a house. And that's because of what was going on in the world in that time. So somewhere along the lines, though, pastors hijacked that and then they use it. I've been in churches where they've used that verse as a weapon against people, saying if you're not at church all the time, then you're not growing spiritually. All I can say to you is this: I know a lot of people that come to services that's all they do. They don't do anything else for the Lord. That's their spiritual time. That's their 1 hour that they're going to give to God, and that's it. So I'm glad that they're here, but that's not it. That's not all there is. If you look at Jesus' ministry, much of Jesus' ministry was not in large groups. I mean, there was some of it that was, and there was very few times where he actually was teaching or preaching to them. Not saying that's not important. That is important. It's a vital part, but it is not the end. And so we're like, same thing. Gather is very important. We think it's vital. We want people to gather. And so what do we encourage people to do? We encourage people to attend a gathering, attend a service, get into a service, be a part of it, be faithful to it. And again, when are those? Sundays, 8 a.m. and 11, both online and in person. That is going to continue. From here on out, the hybrid model, whatever you want to talk about, however you want to call it, is what we're going to continue to strive for, and having services online and in person. So like last week, we had, there was 350 to 400 people that were watching online, and there was about 300 and some odd people that were in services between the two services. So so we want, again, we're going to be offering that because there's some folks that feel comfortable in coming and being a part, especially in what's going on in our world today, and then there's some that just don't, and that's okay. And so we're gonna do what we can to meet that need, and we're also connecting with people. There's a lady that was here today who is the first time that she's actually been here in person. She got introduced to us online, and was watching online, been watching faithfully online for about a year. Because actually this weekend is a year since everything went down and services had to end at that time. And so it's just awesome to see what God's doing with that. So again, attend a gathering and be faithful to it. But understand, we're not telling people every single time there's a service, you need to be at one of those services. I think sometimes that if you're always attending a service, you're not leaving room for you to be able to do some of the other things that we're going to talk about in the Gather, Grow, Give, and Go. So it can't be the end all. It really is. I mean, honestly, Sunday morning, what we do Sunday morning should be a supplement to your already ongoing spiritual diet. I mean, that's the way I talk about it. That's the way I believe about it. Do I think it's important? Yeah, I think it's important, but it's not the end of the game. So so gather. So we want to encourage you to gather. Secondly, we want to encourage you to grow. So we gather so that we can grow. Growing in our faith. I talked about that this morning in services. We talk about that a lot. I mean, it's obviously vital part of our lives, of our spiritual faith, of our heritage, of who we are, to grow in our relationship with Jesus Christ, to grow in our relationship with one another. And that's really, I mean, that's vital. If we're going to be able to have everything, I mean, everything that we need for life and godliness is given to us, but we need to grow in our understanding of how to use that, how to put that into practice. And so that is really a huge part of what we're striving for. And we believe that the growing part is best done in a life group. So what we tell everybody is attend a service, get into a life group. Now, when are those? And so just so you know, and that's what these sheets are for, these are all the ones that we know of currently. And these are really the ones that are for adults currently. So we do have student life groups that meet on Sunday mornings at 9:30. We have kids life groups that meet on Sunday mornings at 9:30. And those are what we would used to call Sunday school. All right. We've done away with that term as best as we possibly can. Once in a while it sneaks in there and we forget and we call it Sunday school. But when I was a youth pastor, my students would always say, would you please stop calling it Sunday school? I do not want to come to school on Sunday. Okay, I get it. Cool. All right, we call it D groups at the time. So, but now we're calling them life groups. And again, these are when we have ones that are set up. So Sundays at 9:30. And I believe on your list there, you've got all of those, the HCBC Sunday life groups for adults at 9:30. And there's a list of them front and back. And we encourage you guys to get involved with those. It tells the room number, who's leading it, and what kind of group it is. So we encourage you guys to get involved in one of those. But again, that's not the end. If you're not involved in one of those, that's okay. Because there are also groups that are happening in the community every single day of the week. And that's what the other sheet is. The other sheet is the HCBC Adult Community Life Groups. And you can see all the different ones that are there. And there are more. So for example, there is not listed on here, I don't believe. Yeah, so they're called the Merry Widows. And there's a group of widows that meet, and they meet regularly. My mom's a part of that. And it's a large group of ladies that gets together, and they do a lot of small group stuff. Because of COVID, they've been doing a lot of things virtually, but they've also been doing a lot of things where they they go in cars and they'll sit individual cars outside of nursing homes, and they will pray over the nursing home, that kind of thing. And they do that every Friday. So there's a lot of things that they're still doing together, and that's true of really all of these groups. So again, some different community life groups. The other thing that I always tell people is if we don't have something, we'll create something. I went to, or I was actually reading a book about life groups, and this one church in Colorado was introducing life groups, and they do some of their life groups they do around things that are a shared experience. So, for example, on a Sunday, they were introducing life groups, and all of a sudden, 20 people dropped out of the ceiling and with a rappel rope, and it was a rappel life group. I mean, that's what they do. They go rappelling, and if you don't know what rappelling is, it's starting at the top of rocks and coming down those rocks with a rope around you. Now that's a really simple way of saying it, but that's what they do, and they rappel for like an hour and a half, and then they have spiritual time together, and that's their group. The next week they introduced another group, and it was a Harley group, and they actually had 3 Harleys drive into the sanctuary. Like, I can't imagine how loud that would have been. But anyway, so they had 3 Harleys drive into the sanctuary, and they introduced it that way. So life groups can be anything. I know a group of men that meet, and this is not on the list because it's just them, but they're all businessmen, and they meet and they get together and pray together and meet together, and that's their life group. And that's okay. There is no rhyme or reason necessarily to a life group other than it's more than one person. For it to be a group, it needs to be more than one. And so, again, if you want to create one, we will do everything we can to help create one. So if that's something that you're like, you know what, none of these really seem to trip my trigger, or I'm just not getting plugged in or whatever. But you know what, I can tell you another example. There's a lady in our church, older lady. She has a group of ladies that they go to Westwood and they work out together. And then whatever that means, working out for them. And they do that, and then they meet together and do something spiritual with it. So it can be anything. And it doesn't have to be limited just to Sunday morning or just to one of these type of groups. So again, if we can help you create one of those, our end goal is that every single community, every single neighborhood that is represented in Harvest Time, that there would be a life group represented in that. Part of that is because, we really believe that, again, life groups is where people grow the best. Small groups is where, again, you think about it, you come into the sanctuary, you're sitting in a row. Relationships are not best happening in a row. They happen in a circle. They happen when you're face to face with people. And I say this all the time, if you come to Sunday morning and that's it, you're not going to get plugged in. You're not going to get to know people. You might get to know a few, but you're not going to really get to know people that way. The best way to get to know people is to get involved in a life group. And I really think the next 2 ways as well are really, really critical ways to get involved and get to know people. So get into a life group. Sundays at 9:30, Wednesdays at 6:30 are the formal ones that are scheduled. And then the community life groups are throughout the week. And again, you can kind of see there from the papers I gave you where, when, and who. And if you have questions that you want to explore more on life groups, Pastor Aaron, our worship pastor, is also our discipleship pastor, and he leads the life group area. And so you can talk to him directly about that. And he is very well aware of all the different life groups and what's going on with those. So he would be the main guy to talk to about that. But I can tell you that if there's not one, we'll make one. And that is how, honestly, every single one of these groups has gotten started because there was someone who said, you know what, I'll start, I'll step up, I'll do that, I'll start one. And they started it. So, you know, Tyler could be a techie group. I don't know, whatever. So it can be anything. It really can be anything. I know a guy, gosh, I just, there's so many examples. There's a guy that has a life group here. They come and they play soccer in the gym here, indoor soccer, and then they do a life group thing. So it can be anything. So life groups, get into a life group. Attend a service, get into a life group, gather, grow. And then our next area is give. We grow so that we can give. And again, 1 Timothy 6:18 talks about that, about exercising our gifts, exercising our ability, the abilities that God has given us. And we give in many, many different ways. But the way that we talk about it specifically is to get on a ministry team. Get on a ministry team. And so what are some of the ministry teams? Some of the ministry teams are kids ministry. My wife is, you say you're interested, she will snag you, and get you involved. And that's all of our ministry areas are all about getting people involved and exercising their gifts. And you know what? It's okay if the only way you're going to really figure out what your gifting is by exercising it and trying stuff out. I've had a lot of people, when I was a youth pastor, I had a lot of people that came to me and they're like, oh, I think working with youth would be awesome. So they came up, and we give everybody a 30-day trial. And I'm like, come up, try it out, see what it's like, see if you really think, yeah, this is where I'm at, and this is what I need to do. I had people that would come up and they just, no way, this was not going to be for them. And they knew it within a couple of weeks. They were like, oh my gosh, no, there's so much drama with youth. I'm like, yeah, welcome to it. And embrace it, love it. And they're like, no, I can't do that. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And that's okay. Then I had other people that come, and man, they're just all-stars, knock it out of the park. They're so good with students, so good with kids. That I've said it before, and I'll say it again. My area is not nursery. Like, do not stick me in the nursery. I will go nuts. I will go absolutely bonkers. I love little kids, love babies. I don't like to hold them. I just don't. I feel like I'm going to drop them. I swear, you can ask my wife. And in 25 years of ministry, the only kids that I have held are my 5, and there's like 3 others that I had that were youth that are now adults and are married and have kids, and I held one of their kids for 10 seconds. I just don't like to hold kids because I'm again, that fear thing that we were talking about this morning. One of my phobias is dropping a kid. Like, seriously, I'm going to drop this kid and I'm going to hurt the kid, and I do not want to do that. So anyway, so I know for me that's just not where I'm supposed to be at, and that's come by trial and error. So. Whether that's kids ministry, youth ministry, the care ministry, what is that? We have what are called CLTs, or they're basically care response teams, or CRTs, not CLTs. It's care response team. Like I said it, and then I was like, wait, CLT is not the right one. CRT, care response team. And what they are folks, so they do a lot of calling on people that are homebound. Especially during COVID, we had about 125 people that were in that particular camp. They were in the older, 75 and older, homebound, lots of different things, and widows, maybe single men that are widowers. And these teams would go, and they would call them every week, talk to them, make sure they were doing okay. If they needed groceries, they'd go get groceries, whatever. So that's what these things, the CRTs are doing, and still are doing. Many of them are still doing that. They've developed relationships with the people that they were calling, and they still call them every week and check in on them and that kind of stuff. So that is an area where we're hoping to grow more and see more of that kind of stuff happen. Lasting impressions is like the welcome center, our ushers, greeters, those kinds of folks. Again, so if that's something where you're like, you know what,
hospitality is a big thing on my radar. I love that sort of stuff. Or I'm really outgoing and I love to talk to people, or I think I'm a pretty happy person. That's really important for being a greeter. Because let's just face it, you're the first persons that when people are coming through the doors on a Sunday morning, you're the first people they're seeing. Hopefully even if it's fake, there's a fake smile on your face. So we don't call it first impressions, we call it lasting impressions, because we want it to make a lasting impression so that people come back. So lasting impressions is another area that you can get involved in. Tech is another area. I know Tyler's involved with that. Again, if that's something where you're like, oh, I love computers, I love whatever. There's lots of different ways. And again, if we don't have it yet figured out, we will create it for you. So we have a young lady in our church, Amber McGaw, who does all of the, it's not McGaw anymore. I just went blank. Weiss, I married them. Duh. She is the one that does the videos for the announcements at the end. Puts that all together, does editing, all that kind of stuff. And again, she just was, I like to do that. Can I do that? I'm like, yeah, go for it. What can I do? What can I give you? Do you need a computer? Do you need a whatever? Let's do this. So again, if we don't have it, we'll create it. And I always joke about this, but I'm dead serious and no one's ever taken me up on it yet. Even if that means creating an underwater basket weaving team. If we need to have a ministry that is to underwater basket weaving people, we'll create it. No one has come to me and said, I want to do that. It's been 25 years. So I'm still waiting for that one person who's like very excited about underwater basket weaving, even though I have no idea how you do it. But that's okay. I don't have to. We'll just help you. We did have basket weaving once. It was not underwater. We'd have to get like snorkel gear and all that. I don't know, but whatever. We can figure it out. A pool would be good. Yes, a pool would be good. There you go. There you go. Yep. Guys, find a seat in here wherever. There's two over here. Good to have you guys. Tech is another area. Communications is another. And again, there's so many different ways, so many different areas you can get involved. And if we don't have it, we'll create it. Again, every single one of these areas of ministry has been created by people who had a passion for it, and that's how it got started. And so, if there's something that you're passionate about, and you're like, man, we really need this at harvest time, I would love to sit down with you, have a conversation, and talk about how can we get it going, what can we do to move that forward. And there's going to be more things that are going to be happening, especially as we continue to talk about building bridges and that kind of stuff. So, hello. We're getting full today. Couple of chairs right there. So again, those are get on a ministry team. And I will say this too, ministry teams isn't just limited to harvest time. You guys, all of you have ministry that you go out to every single day and do. And so look at, your place of work, your neighborhood, your friend group, whatever is also ministry. And so if that's your ministry team, that's your giving, then go for it with all your heart and do it. And realize that, we want to help you however we can with that. So, again, attend a service, get into a life group, get on a ministry team. And then the last area is to go. So we gather in order to grow, we grow in order to give, we give in order to go. Give is kind of, if you look at it, think about it this way, it's kind of like the reaching into the body of Christ, reaching into the church. Go is outreach. Go is going out into the four corners of the earth. Go is the going to your neighborhood, going out into the world. And that's what Acts 1:8 is all about. When the Holy Spirit has come upon you, you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the uttermost parts of the world. And we believe that wholeheartedly. And so we encourage people to go be the church every day, everywhere. It's not just about, church is not just about what you attend. Church is you. you and me, we people are the church. And we're called to be the church every day, everywhere, not just a place that you attend on Sunday. And so go be the church every day, everywhere. And some of the ways that you can go be the church that we organize is city serve projects. So like this past week, as you guys are aware, the Plaza One had a fire, and all those folks were displaced from there. The city was organizing the gathering of stuff, essential stuff for people. And I put a post on Facebook and said, hey, if anybody's available from 1 to 3 today, show up at the Rock Falls Chamber. And we had, I think, 18 people from our church that showed up. That's a City Serve project. Those pop up randomly sometimes. Sometimes they are organized things that we do. And so you can get involved with that. There's all kinds of different projects that we do. Habitat for Humanity, usually annually in Dixon, and all kinds of other things. I know the kids ministry with the what's that called? Summer Splash. Thank you. Does stuff. We have, and this is the thing too. So our church has. You guys know what inflatables are? We have inflatables. We have we have four now, and we're actually getting 3 more. We're getting one that's a jousting one. That's so cool. I can't wait to. Yeah, that's right. We're getting a dunk tank. Yeah, that's right. All right. So why do I say that? Here's the thing. Like, I've talked to the mayors about this, and they're completely cool with it. Neighborhood block party. You guys could block off your road, use our inflatables, blow them up in the middle of the street, invite all the kids and families from your neighborhood, and just have fun with them. And then they're like, where are you guys from? What are you guys doing this for? We're from Harvest Bible Church, and we're just out here because we just love Jesus, and we just want you guys to have fun. It's as simple as that. And you guys can utilize our stuff for that purpose. That's why we buy that stuff. That's why we got that stuff, is so that I know Daisha and them, they'll set it up down there at the riverfront during that time, Summer Splash time. And we've used that all over the place. So again, those kind of things are go be the church somewhere. We've done things, city serve projects, where we're out pulling weeds out someplace. And I remember specifically a lady that comes to our church. She was working at this place where we were pulling weeds, and she was just sitting at the window watching, and somebody walked up next to her who was a coworker of hers and said, "Man, are those kids in trouble?" Because like they're out there doing a community service project. No, those kids are from my church, and they're just out pulling weeds because they just love Jesus. And it got a conversation started between her and her coworker about a relationship with Christ and what that is. And that's one of a gajillion stories I could tell you that is similar. And it came about as people going out being the church every day, everywhere. Mission trips, huge. I absolutely am fully on board with mission trips. We are providing several of those. We have one coming up at the beginning of June to Honduras. I don't think it's too late yet to get signed up for that. It might be. We'll have a trip, hopefully, to Romania in October. We're going to Chicago to the Inner City Mission, Pacific Garden Mission, Inner City Mission up there. Hopefully, and I say hopefully because we never know, in August. And there are all kinds of other ways. You guys, we have many people that go on mission trips on their own. We do a lot of, we will support that. As long as people are willing to come and talk to me about it, have a conversation about it. We built into our budget the ability to help every single person go by giving them 30% of whatever it costs for them to go. And we just believe that's in mission trips that strongly, because it changes lives. It changes not just where you're going. I've seen all kinds of trips. I've been on 50 plus trips myself. it will revolutionize your life, but it also obviously impacts the people that you're going to minister to. Great line from a movie called Blue Like Jazz. This girl goes to a mission trip in India, and she comes back and she's given a testimony about it. And one of the things she says in it just blows me away, and will never forget it. She said, "I had to get away from the noise of the West in order to hear the voice of God clearly." And that is exactly what happens on mission trips. You get out of your comfort zone, you get out of your context, you get out away from the United States, and you start serving other people for a week or 10 days or whatever it is, and it transforms your life. And here's the thing about it: you give a week, it'll transform the other 51 weeks. I guarantee it. It just will, if you let God do that. And I've seen it happen time and time again, many times. It's so cool because now we're starting to see kids that grew up here, that went on mission trips, that are starting to be full-time missionaries out in the world. Sarah Paul is one of them that we support as a church. There's others that are, I could just tell you about all kinds of students that have grown up here that are now out serving the Lord in various ways. And they will talk about the reason is because of the trips that they went on, these mission trips that they went on. Adults, same thing. I've seen adults just completely transformed by that. So again, opportunity to go. I always tell people, don't let money be the thing that keeps you from going. I have never, in 25 years of doing mission trips, I've never seen God not supply the financial need for someone to go on a mission trip. Never. One time I was in a drive-through at Taco Bell with a kid. He needed $100 in order to go on this trip. And this is honest God truth. And it was the craziest thing. They had a, like McDonald's used to have the Monopoly thing. They had something at Taco Bell like that. He pulls off the thing and it's $100 winner. I'm telling you, like, it was like, what? and so I love how God does that. And he just does crazy stuff like that all the time. So, and it is a faith thing too, because man, you get to see how God works through you and gets to work through other people. And if you can't go, then obviously you can pray and you can be a part financially in helping other people go too. Annual events, OCC is Operation Christmas Child. And we do that every year. Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving Day, we do that every year. We just had was it 10th? It's either our 10th or 11th anniversary of it. And because of COVID, we weren't able to do the in-house seating, but we still fed. We did over 700 meals, and that we delivered or that people came curbside and picked up. So it grows every year. The first year we did it, I think maybe it was less than 100, and now we're doing over 700 meals. So it's just an awesome opportunity, and it's once a year, obviously Thanksgiving Day. And there's more to come with that too. Like I said, I don't know where all the building bridges thing's going to go, but we really believe that God's going to use us to do even more in our community and in this nation and around the world. So, so that's it. Gather, grow, give, go. Do you guys any questions? Look at time it is. All right, doing good. Any questions about any of this stuff I just went over, which is a lot? And luckily, I'm recording it so you can rewatch it if you need to. Nothing.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you guys ever send, like, in the summer when disasters happen in other states, do you guys ever send crews to help with that kind of stuff?
That is a fantastic question. And the answer to that is yes and no. We have, yes. There is one of the things I would love to see happen is a disaster response team get created here. And so that we could do more of that. I think, because honestly, like getting a trailer, getting all kinds of stuff in it that we could be ready on, and I think I know there's people that are interested in doing something like that. When we have organized mission trips that we've done, like, for example, we were in Oklahoma City when the tornado that went through the town just south of there, we went and helped with the cleanup of that. We did Katrina as well. So yeah, there has been sporadic things, but not on a regular basis. So that is definitely one area that I would love to see us grow something in is a disaster response team. So yeah. So that's why I say yes and no.
Well, and you see even that it happened locally here just in the past week, because that would, I think would fall under what happened with the plaza and the fire.
Mhm.
Something like a disaster relief team would be the ones.
Yeah,
We put them in action.
absolutely.
Go with
Yep.
something like
And it would be really cool to have a team that you could just call on and be like, hey, here's what's going on. Because of, I mean, obviously we've had every year there's that stuff going on. And so, yeah. And when we've had individuals, because we've had a lot of individuals from the church that have gone as a part of other teams that have gone. So like Samaritan's Purse or whatever, they go and they help with that. Yeah, we'll support them in that effort for sure. Yep. So anything else? Any other questions?
Any more word on the community garden?
No, I mean, other than we're definitely open to it. Right now it's a matter of figuring out how exactly we can do it, getting some people that are interested in doing it, and helping lead it. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely interest for us to use some of our property out here to be able to do a community garden for sure. Yep. Which, I mean, obviously we need to get off the ground going here pretty soon because it'll be planting season before long. So, so if any of you are interested in that, let me know. I would love to be able to do something like that. I think it would be a great asset to the community.
Some of these masters, they love to get up early and go.
Yeah, right.
7 a.m. It's like, no.
I'm with you.
Early, but I work.
I understand. I'm with you. I'm like, nope, that's too early for me. So yeah. Yeah, some of them are pretty early. Yeah. So yep. That's why, and again, that's why I'm just saying these are the ones that we have organized already. But if you're interested in starting one and leading one or even hosting one, you can talk to me or talk to Pastor Aaron. All right, anything else? No. Well, if you guys got questions, obviously anytime, feel free to contact me, and love to be able to help you with that, and whatever the question might be, and help you get plugged in. And so we'd encourage you to gather, grow, give, go, and we try to keep it memorable and simple. So hopefully you can get that down and take a step at a time. That's what I tell people. Don't try to take all of it at one time. Just take a step at a time. And again, those different parts, the gather, grow, give, go. I really believe grow, give, and go is where you really get plugged in and you really get to know people. So it's a lot of good stuff, a lot of opportunities. So